we all know Donovan Mitchell is special. He's one of the best offensive players in the league. All around, if you remember Donovan Mitchell in Louisville, he was a defensive player. That's what he was. He wasn't a great offensive player. Yeah, he really wasn't.
12 points a game scorer, I think, is last
He wasn't.
year. Yeah.
He changed his game when he stepped on an NBA court. And some of these guys do. I mean, how many guys have done it? Kawhi Leonard, he was a defensive-minded player in San Diego State. Then he came to the NBA. He played with Tim Duncan. He played with Tony Parker and all those other guys, Manu Ginobili, and he became an offensive, talented player. And that his game transitioned into the NBA. Some of these guys do transition, no matter where they're drafted. Nikola Jokic, he was drafted in the second round. So you can find diamonds in a rough. Donovan Mitchell was a 14th pick. That's what he was. He was the 14th pick of Utah. I think it was 14 or 13.
Or 13, I think.
It was one of those. But he was 13, 14. He was a Utah pick. And I know a lot of teams were interested in bringing him in, aka the New York Knicks, but they passed up on him because, you have a GM deciding to fall asleep at the combine. We all know Phil Jackson doesn't like to show up at the combine, and when he does, he doesn't really like to keep his eyes open.
And then he drafted the great Frank Ntilikina.
Oh, that's a whole nother story. Where's he playing now? That's a whole nother
I think he's actually on the Dallas roster, like the 14th guy or something.
There were stories over the last couple of years that Donovan Mitchell wanted to play for the Knicks. Some people thought that the Knicks were going after Donovan Mitchell this offseason, but I think they passed up on him when they reached out to the Cleveland Cavaliers and they said that he's not available. That's the facts. And I think what they did, what Cleveland tried to do is said, who do you want? Donovan, who do you want as your head coach? And he mentioned Kenny Atkinson, which is a great pick. It was a great addition. I think Kenny Atkinson is one of the best knowledgeable coaches in the NBA right now. I think he knows how to find these guards out of, and he finds diamonds in the rough. He helped Jeremy Lin. He helped a lot of different point guards and guards develop. Steph Curry came out and said he redeveloped his skills through Kenny Atkinson when he went to the Golden State Warriors for the last 2 years. Now, it doesn't mean that Steph Curry wasn't the great player that he is, but he helped him develop into that older, sensational player that he became over the last couple of years. You look at Donovan Mitchell and what he can do on a basketball court. He could do everything. And he was one of the best defensive players at his position this year, which is incredible. If you look at his numbers, Donovan Mitchell at his position was third amongst the league defensively. Third at the guard position. That tells me his development as a player, really becoming a team leader. And Cleveland, I don't know what's going to happen with Garland. Maybe Garland stays. Maybe he stays now that Kenny Atkinson's there. And this team, they have a bunch of talent there. Donovan Mitchell knows he has the best chance to win a championship over there in Cleveland. If he went to New York, he's not the guy. Jalen Brunson's the guy. And he knew that. And I think he decided, you know what? I want to stay put. I have a chance to win with a young team, a talented team, and we still have enough money to bring in another superstar to come and play with me, Darius, or whoever's here. When I look at what Donovan Mitchell brings to the table, he brings a lot. And I know people will sit here and tell me, hey, well, Donovan Mitchell is just an offensive-minded player. That's not true. He's a coachable player. How many people in Utah said that he was the heart and soul of the Utah Jazz? And the only reason why they decided to move him is because they knew that he didn't want to be there. And him and Rudy Gobert were never going to get along. They decided to move on with Donovan Mitchell. And what did they do? They moved on with Rudy Gobert. They rebuilt their team. They brought Danny Ainge in. He decided to rebuild this team from the bottom to the top. Is it going to help them? Who knows? But it has helped Donovan Mitchell. It has. Has Donovan Mitchell become a better player going to Cleveland? Yeah, he's playing with better teammates. He's playing with better players. He's playing in an easier conference. The Eastern Conference is much easier than the Western Conference. You have to deal with OKC every year. You got to deal with Luka Doncic every year. You got to deal with, obviously, the Lakers. Well, we don't know what kind of Lakers they're going to deal with. But, I mean, you got to deal with the Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, the Grizzlies, whenever John Morant decides to wake up and stop pulling out guns. I mean, there's so much talent in the Western Conference, and it's only going to build. Now, the East, it's really 4 teams long. It really is. I don't want to hear about Milwaukee because Milwaukee will look to move Giannis because Dame is going to Miami. You can book it. He's going to Miami. We haven't heard anything with Dame time yet. You know why? Because he's getting healthy. And one way or another, Pat Riley's going to find a way to get him over there in Miami Beach. He is going to bring them there because the only way Miami is going to compete against the 76ers now, compete with the Knicks, compete with the Celtics, and compete with the Cavaliers is if they make a move and bring Dame Time there. The Eastern Conference, they have 4, maybe 5 good teams, capable champions, maybe 3. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Donovan Mitchell changes everything for Cleveland. 3 years, 3-year extension. Donovan Mitchell will be a Cleveland Cavalier for life. He's not going to the Knicks. He's not going to the Nets. He's not going to Miami. He decided to stay in Cleveland because he has a chance to really redefine who he is as a player. If he brings a championship home to Cleveland, we're not going to be talking about LeBron James anymore. We're going to be talking about Donovan Mitchell, the Spider. I think he's a great player. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If Donovan Mitchell doesn't get hurt in the playoffs, they beat the Celtics. They beat the Celtics. Why? Because the Celtics have no answer for him. I know everybody's going to say what Drew Holiday did to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's a different player. You can get into his head. Donovan Mitchell, you can't get into his head. He's a different type of player. Now, I'm not saying he's better than Kyrie Irving. I never said that. But he's a different player. He shows up in the big game. Go look at his numbers with Utah. Go look at his runs. Go look at his run with the Cleveland Cavaliers the last 2 years. He shows up. Nobody else does. That's the difference. I think Kenny Atkinson changes everything. I think the selling point here for the Cavaliers is, what does Kenny Atkinson bring to the table? And he brings a lot. He brings leadership. He brings understanding how to bring these 2 point guards together, these 2 guards together. Whatever's going on in the locker room, whatever going on with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, which we've had different people on from the Cleveland Cavaliers that have told us there's nothing going on. But there has to be. If Darius Garland said, if Donovan Mitchell gets $150 million, I want to be traded. There has to be more in depth. Kenny Atkinson, I think, will clean that up. And I think that's why Donovan Mitchell decided to stay there. I think Donovan Mitchell understands where this team is going. They could beat the Knicks. They could beat the Celtics, if healthy. Now I'm talking about Jared Allen, Karis LeVert. They can beat those teams. They're that talented. The question is, do they make a move at the trade deadline this coming year where they can really take off and really be considered a championship team in the Eastern Conference?